Hi guys, hope all is well. I'm gonna do a video of what I'm kind of looking at so far. I'm gonna do a trade breakdown on Euro Pound for the moment. So let's just kind of get into it. So on the previous video, I said that I was really liking this reaccumulation that was happening. I'm waiting for price to come back down and then actually start heading back up. And it's just basic high, 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 low, high, high. This is so far has been like a really, really nice reaccumulation. So you got your PSBC, AR. These are first like fake areas that people look to think that there's a breaker structure, and like in the grand scheme of things, like they actually are. But whenever prices in its reaccumulation phases, I always see these as just liquidations or build-ups of liquidity. So prices come back down. This is our first major low that we have had. You can see again, we've had another accumulation within this zone here. And this was nothing more than a first test of this area. So that's why it's called ST. These are basically your secondary tests. But for me, they're just nothing more than targets of liquidity that eventually do need to be taken. So you have your ST, which is the first one. You have your secondary test again. You can see price came down, generating equal lows to the same low that was actually in this whole accumulation phase. But then price to actually come back down, re-raid liquidity, and then we actually start having that shift, and then we actually have that full breaker structure up here. So just going with structure is basically nothing more than looking for the area that caused the break of this structure, because this has been really nice with like a lot of liquidations that we've been seeing. So dropping it down onto the hourly. You can see this is our last sell to buy movement. It looks quite clean, to be fair. I'm also looking for potential 30 minutes for potential longs. Going into the trade this morning, this was basically nothing more than waiting for that last sell movement. We had intermediate, we had these breaks of structure here, and then prices generate liquidity in these highs. And you can see on, I think it's on the hourly a little bit more. You can see we've just got this tiny imbalance. We actually have, you can see 8 a.m. London high, and then we have 1 a.m., which is like pre-New York session. So I'm seeing these are the acts of liquidity as well. We do have this imbalance, so it's resting in between as well. You can see price just came in really, really nicely and tested that imbalance. And you can see this was the point where price had this raid. We had an intermediate breaker structure, and we actually had a massive shift from this point, and we never actually kind of retested the area that caused this. So you can see we've had this test. This has been really, really nice. Again, this is just nothing more than a distribution. Some see it as when you have your correction and impulse move. That is basically what this is. But in the grand scheme of things, you can see it's just manipulation. You get that one final move that actually does something of significance, i.e., for this last supply zone, which you can see we raided, we came in, we actually tested with this wick here, and then price started to fall down. So this is my main area which I've been looking for. So now we've actually had this shift. We had some demand in here, but this demand I'm not really looking at too much because it didn't really do anything of significance. It didn't break a high. We kind of just fell through it. So you can see there's been a lot of orders within this area. The bank's mitigating that positions, closing out. So I'm potentially looking for a couple zones. I'm looking for this 30-minute to potentially get ran one more time and swept. And I'm also looking for this 15-minute up here. We could get this kind of move going into tomorrow as well. So we could equally just continue back down, and again, if we do that, that's calm. We do have this level here, which is we have this EMA cross. I don't really trade EMAs that much. It's just another kind of confluence to have. But I like to see like tests of these EMAs. So we've had this cross, and now potentially looking for that 50 to get a test, and then have that continuation back down lower, potentially going into the New York session. That does not mean we couldn't run this. We do have a really nice imbalance here. This was the point where we had all of these manipulations, and then this one final move, and then price came back down. So potentially from here, I could see some nice, some potential nice trades that we could be taking. Failing that, I'm already in this move up here. This is an order that I set yesterday. I did actually have a trade yesterday off of this 30-minute zone in here. But I had a feeling this probably was going to happen, which is why I did have the zone mapped out as well. But that's fine though, because what I lost out on this trade is already made for within this movement here. So now we've actually had this shift. I'm kind of really waiting for just a simple pullback. I mean, you can see this fib is lining up really, really nicely with that 30-minute. We've generated equal lows here. Price did not actually take that out. And if we go back down on a lower time frame, you can see there's nothing that's really been swept of this level. Nothing of importance has been done. We've kind of just left it, and you can see prices come back down. We've generated lows, and then we've just kind of pumped back high. So this has given a lot of people opportunity to get buys in, and start like buying up at this point. But I think this is just going to be another resting and new target that we could get. And you can see we didn't really have a raid here. Price come up, we came up, we manipulated, we tested, and then we fell back down. The game here, we can see that we've just got this pocket of liquidity. Nothing's actually been taken out. Could see that pull up, and then that move back down. So that is something that I am waiting for. Equally, if Euro pound just pushes and moves higher, then that is fine as well. Equally, we just have to sit and wait to see what happens. I did actually have a buy order in this 15-minute, only a small one. It didn't actually take it out. So this is almost like a counter trend trade. And like you can do these and you can utilize these like opportunities, because if price then now technically, because when we're looking at structure, you can see this is, we had a breaker structure here. This is the low that caused that high. And you can see we had a lot of manipulations, lows, lows, lows. We had that shift, and then we had this breaker structure. So this is a really, really nice like sell to buy movement, which I was seeing. So in the grand scheme of things, this still is technically valid, but I'm looking on more of the high time frame, and I'm looking for more of the high time frame structure. So you can see I'm just still waiting for that move to come back down, so we can just have that push move higher. So if you guys got any questions about this, please let me know, and feel free to fire away. So far, AU's come off the zone that I was looking for. We actually did yesterday come back up into that 7,000, which I mentioned, and we had a big weekly zone here. And you can see we've came right into the 50% of this zone. So that's really, really nice to see. Whether price is actually going to continue pushing higher, or if we're actually going to come down a little bit. But at the moment, I'm not really looking so much at these pairs. I'm just going to kind of wait until something exciting happens. Euro pound, obviously, I'm in and explained. US 30, again, nothing really of great significance. Just waiting for some sort of pullback and continue higher. Potentially, we could see that going into the New York session. We could have a run of all of this high. That could be quite nice. You can see we had this run, price came lower, price came higher even. So we could potentially have this run going into New York. I'm not really going to be placing anything, but anything from the 50, if you can find your reaccumulations and your confirmations, then that could be a potential long trade, unless we actually start breaking these lows. Euro USD, again, there's nothing really interesting that I'm waiting for. Even though price has broken up higher, we could still run all of these lows. So I'm not really looking at anything that much on there. Bitcoin, I was kind of looking at some little bits. But if I'm going to be honest, there wasn't really anything too exciting that I was looking for. So I think that for the moment, I'm just going to leave it. I've been sticking on a daily. I do want to see if we could potentially come back up to this zone, because we didn't actually hit that zone yet. And we do believe on a 12-hour. Yeah, on a 12-hour, we do have this zone as well, which I think we could run through. Again, nothing really that exciting. I'm going to be really worth talking about. The only real one I'm looking for at the moment is Euro pound, US dollar. Again, I'm just waiting to see if we are actually going to get some sort of rejection from this zone again. And if there's nothing, just sit and wait. Like, there will be something. No point rushing anything. So we have actually broken this low now. So now we're testing within here. If price actually comes back down, then we actually get that pullback. That's then we can look for XXX USD pairs potentially to come up higher. Other than that, that is pretty much what I'm looking for. If there's anything that exciting that goes on for the week, I will let everyone know. If you guys have got any questions, please feel free to fire away, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, guys. Bye.